Hey guys, before we start this episode, I wanted to talk to you about Type 1 Lifting. So Type 1 Lifting is a clothing line that proceeds of the shirts and tanks and everything else goes to the Children's Diabetes Foundation. So this all came about with me and seeing a 5-year-old girl in the emergency department that had new onset of diabetes. So just take a look at the website. It's www.type1lifting.com. So just check it out. If you don't buy anything, that's perfectly fine. I would just like for you just to take a look and just see what we have. So like I said before, www.type1lifting.com. And guys, I hope you enjoy the show. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Type 1 Lifting Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Today I do not have a guest because I pretty much want to talk about the year that has been for the Type 1 Lifting Podcast and how it's grown so much from what I ever expected it to be. And I'm going to go over the top 5 podcasts that I have, my week with diabetes this week, what I'm looking to do with the podcast for next year, and also some CrossFit news as well. So I said this before, I kind of started this podcast on a whim. Actually, it was with 3 guys, but we had a hard time getting together and doing the podcast. So I decided to say, screw it, just do it. And so I just decided to do the Type 1 Lifting Podcast. So my first interview I ever had is with a girl. She's an Olympic weightlifter, and her name is Maddie Boland. And the funny thing is, I saw that she was doing a weightlifting competition in Atlanta, Georgia, because I believe she's from Alabama. And my wife and kids were away because I just started a new job, so I wasn't really able to take the time off to go on vacation. So I decided to, go to the weightlifting competition and actually meet her. So right then and there, I was like, let me ask her to do a podcast. If she doesn't want to do it, perfectly fine. But I brought all the equipment and watched her kill it on the weightlifting, competition. And then after, congratulated her. She saw me in between the snatch and the clean and jerk. So she was on the clean and jerk. And I asked her if she wanted to go get a bite to eat and possibly do a podcast, and she was super cool about it. And when I was very thankful for her that she did it, so we went to a Panera Bread, and actually that was my first interview and recording of the podcast, other than the intro. So the top 5 podcasts that I have are the 5th one is the intro of me talking about me being a diabetic, starting this podcast, what I'm planning to do, and obviously it's changed since I started the intro, but that's the number 5. And then the 4th episode is with a teenage CrossFit athlete named Emma Stringfellow. Super nice girl. She's from Florida. Great person to talk to, and I'm looking forward to maybe throw down with her at the boxes. She is down in Florida, since it's a drive away from where I live in Georgia. And then the 3rd one is with Maddie Boland. Like I said before, we did my first recording in a Panera Bread, which was totally out of the blue, and like I said before, I didn't expect her to do it, but she did it, which was super cool, and I am very thankful. She was my first person I did a recording with. And then the second one is Kelly Wild. She is a 3 times CrossFit Games athlete. Now she is an Olympic weightlifter at Cal Strength, and I believe it's in Sacramento, California. You could see her on Cal Strength, the Cal Strength YouTube page. She's always the one that's wearing the mask, because obviously she's a type 1 diabetic. And all the people that I've interviewed in the top 5 are all diabetics as well. She was a great person to talk to, crack some jokes in our podcast about the CrossFit Games and how she went team, and a couple of the workouts and what she's doing now. And I'm looking forward to actually do another recording with her too as well this year, because she just did the American Open, and I'd like to talk to her about how she handled it with COVID and everything. And then my number one podcast is with the Canadian forklift, Jessica Butner. I actually didn't know about her until someone from my gym told me, like, hey, you really need to check out this diabetic. She's a power lifter, and this girl just, deadlifts and squats more than me, and she absolutely kills it. She's number one in her weight class for powerlifting up in Canada, and it was I was very grateful. She actually responded to my DM on Instagram and was able to do a podcast with me because she has about I think she has 172,000 followers on Instagram, and how she became how she went viral and got all those followers is because I believe she said she posted a Facebook video on Facebook that she deadlifted 405 for 5 times, which is insane. So I'm very grateful for all 4 of these people to be involved with the Type 1 Lifting podcast, and I'm looking forward to do another recording with them next year as well. So what's more to come with the Type 1 Lifting podcast for next year? I am looking to interview more CrossFit athletes, strength athletes, power lifters, people that I'm interested in, people that also have maybe a clothing line as well, other people that have podcasts, just to see how their podcast works, because I'm always trying to learn and make this podcast a good one, so you guys can enjoy every single episode, and hopefully it explodes too. So, because I love doing podcasts, it's so much fun. And also some other great news. I'm actually being interviewed on someone else's podcast other than me interviewing them, which is, this is my first time. It's going to be next week. I'm actually looking really forward to it. So the podcast is the Disability Awareness Podcast. And I'm going to talk about me being a diabetic, me doing the clothing line, and, talking about diabetes awareness. So I'm really looking forward to that podcast and seeing how that goes. And I might actually use that podcast for, maybe the first episode of the next year, because after this episode, I'm planning not to do another podcast because, to be honest with you, it's been like really stressful with work, the holidays, and just trying to manage all this stuff all at once. And I just don't think I will actually give you guys a great interview or, a great podcast. So this is going to be the last one for the end of the year. So thank you very much for you guys listening to this podcast. It really, really does mean a lot to me. And now I'm going to talk about my week with diabetes. So my Dexcom, I didn't have another sensor holder. So I actually went off my Dexcom. I don't know why I call it Dexcom. It's Dexcom. And so I just went to finger pricks for all of last week. And surprisingly, my numbers were really, really good. Maybe because I wasn't stressed out, or, stressed out from hearing my phone vibrate every 5 minutes saying that I have high blood sugar, because, that can be really stressful and annoying. And also, when I'm sleeping, I don't hear the noise of going high or, whatever. And so, because, obviously every 15 minutes, if you're over a certain number that you program into the app, every 15 minutes it's vibrating. And there's been times, even last night with me, it was going off because I had low blood sugar, which, is good to know. But, I ate something and I was still waiting for it to kick in so my blood sugar would rise, and I just did not get the good enough sleep that I need to. So there's been sometimes with this, I actually shut off the app because I just can't sleep, because it goes off every 2 seconds, and it's super annoying, super stressful. And, I may just go back to finger pricks again after this, because also the money wise, so obviously I pay probably a little bit less than some other people do, but I just can't afford, having this thing on me and paying the amount that I am. So So we'll see. This might be the last time. I still have the reader that I don't even use, so I'm probably going to post that to see if anybody wants it. And, they just pay for shipping. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. And, I felt really good last week with just the finger pricks, very relaxed. And, I actually slept really good too. So who knows? I may go back. So we'll see. And now I like to talk about some CrossFit news. So some big things actually happened last week. You probably already know one of them. Brooke Wells is going with Proven. Tia Claire, she's going to be working with Tia Claire Toomey and her husband. And I couldn't believe when that happened. I'm wondering the reason why that she went to, with Shane Orr and Tia is maybe because Tia might be retiring after the end of this year, because she did talk about in one of her posts that she's trying out for the Australian bobsled team, which is pretty cool because there's also a couple other American CrossFitters that went over to bobsledding training at Lake Placid, and actually one of them made him and the other one's on the practice squad, which is still, a pretty cool feat to be at. So maybe she wants to just do the, bobsledding, or maybe she just, is getting tired of, just kicking everybody's ass, but who knows? Or maybe she's going team because they did post, jokingly, who would be a great team member with Matt and her. But I believe Matt saying he doesn't want to go team, and he's said that a bunch of times. So I don't know. We'll see. I think Brooke Wells is, obviously lead athlete. She was the top 5 for the CrossFit Games. A couple hiccups, brought her back down to 5th place. And, I think, her training with Shane Orr and Tia will, give her the, step up to, go over the hump and be be on the podium for the CrossFit Games. Because obviously when she was working with CompTrain, Ben Bergeron had, Katrin Davis' daughter, and, that was, his main priority with her, even though, probably Cole Sager too, even though I believe Samuel Quant's with CompTrain as well, and Brooke Wells at the time. And, obviously those two people were more important, I think, maybe more important to him than the other two. So that's why I think Brooke Wells, kind of left. And also there was a coaching change for Brooke Wells, I think right close to the games. And obviously that probably threw her for a loop, and, which is not fair on her point, on her side, because switching coaches last minute, that would definitely, jack you up, and, may not be helpful at all. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Shane and Tia, do with Brooke Wells with Proven, and let's see what happens in the Open. Speaking of the Open, now the Open is not a 5-week competition; it's actually a 3-week competition, which is pretty cool. They also were talking about how it'll be accessible for people that have home gyms because they don't want to go to their box, or their box is closed due to COVID, restrictions. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing what the workouts are for the Open coming up. And we actually have, I believe, a month and a half left towards the Open, and I need to get my cardio up because it's garbage. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. Maybe we'll see a 1 rep max, maybe clean and jerk or snatch. Who knows? I'm looking forward to it, but with me trying to do the open workouts from my house, I don't think it's a good idea, because I would have to place multiple camera angles all over the place, because the way my room is shaped, it's shaped like an L, and the pull-up bar is right in the bottom part of the L portion, and I'm going to need a bunch of cameras. So I don't think it's going to be good for me with all the camera angles, but we'll see what happens. I may have to find a local box to hopefully let me be able to train or do the Open, for the 3 weeks. But I'm really, really looking forward to it. And then, and that's pretty much it. I know, going back to the 1 rep max, I know CrossFit is not a big fan of the 1 rep max because there'll be a whole bunch of ties, and they don't like doing that. They like more of the time domain workouts. So, obviously, because they can program, they could, place the people in the right position, and but we'll see what happens. But that's all I got for this podcast. I hope you did enjoy it. If you guys have any other ideas for me with this podcast, I am, just send them my way via Instagram, type 1 lifting on Instagram or, Twitter or whatever. I don't care what it is. If you want to talk crap, that's fine. I'll just block your ass. But, just give me some feedback and see what you guys want to do. I'm really looking forward to, the next, maybe the next lineup for interviews that I have that I'm trying to schedule for next year. But I want to wish you happy holidays, happy New Year, and I hope you guys are safe, COVID free, and just go from there. And some real big things coming in this podcast next year, and I hope you will definitely enjoy it. And I will talk to you guys later.